sort of hurdles in your career that have you've had to kind of meander and you've had to kind of move past? I like talking about like any hurdles that people have and how you saw it through, because so often I feel like you see the destination, like you're, this amazing star on Broadway and you're doing all these awesome things, but was it always as easy as the final destination, would you say? Or was it kind of like a road of ups and downs, or was there anything that you really had to overcome?
Yeah, lots of ups and downs.
Yeah.
Um, I think something that I once learned was, let me get this right. Oftentimes, when it feels like you have lost something, it also feels like you have learned something.
I love
And that in those moments where you're like confused or something's hard or you're unemployed, I mean, as an actor, that happens so often, you don't know what's happening next.
that.
um it's hard to navigate through, and just remembering that those are the moments where you actually learn the most sometimes.
Yeah. The hard times.
Yeah, because there's like space, there's a shift and there's space for you to understand either, what do you really want.
Yeah.
You're not just riding a train, like you have jurisdiction over like what happens in your career and what stories you tell, like
Yeah.
want. And then also there's a moment where like maybe it's about creating things yourself and not waiting for people to hand you a script or hand you a job.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna make my own stuff.
Yeah.
So those are,
I like that reference, like your own jurisdiction over, like, I feel like so often you think everyone else is in control and you're like, no, I can also have some power over my life and what my goals are and everything.
it's not even about a job,
Yeah.
it's about like having control and jurisdiction of who you are as a person and how you choose to handle things.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things I saw on your Instagram was the most heartwarming thing about that little girl saying that she saw herself in you. And
Yeah.
I know that you've also spoken about representation as too across the board. So why is that so important for you to be such a role model? I mean, I think it's great for other people to see that I can do that too. We don't all have to look the same to be successful and achieve our dreams.
Yeah, I think sharing in Jenna's joy made me so joyful.
It's like the cutest thing. I watched it like 3 times.
Yeah, and it's I'm so grateful that all of the work that I've put into being an actor and trying to tell stories for a living, and reach out to people, has reached out to a young woman where not only she doesn't know this, but like, she sees herself in me, but I see myself in her.
Yeah.
And like, you always have that conversation, or I do, I don't know if other people do. Maybe I'm the only one.
No, I don't think so.
I always have a conversation with myself that's like, okay, if I were talking to my younger self,
Yeah.
what would I say? And like, it's incredible to me that I'm at a point where I can literally actually find many people who are younger versions of me,
Yeah.
that I see myself in as a younger version of myself, and I actually can say something to them.
Which is great, right? Wisdom of getting older.
Yeah, but I can, and not only physically say things, but I can validate them with my own presence, and I can advocate to make the world a more diverse place because of where I am. And I just feel like how lucky and grateful am I that there are people like Jenna, people like all of the wonderful young women that I met outside of the stage door at Amelie,
Yeah.
who have reached out, and can remind me that like it doesn't take a lot of effort to reach somebody. So all it really takes is us recognizing that joy that we see in Jenna and when she sees Hamilton,
Yeah.
and say to ourselves, let's strive to do our best to make this happen 1,000 times more in every aspect, in every career,
I love that.
in front of the camera, behind the camera,
Yeah.
non-actors, any job. Like,
Yeah.
let's make it the most diverse world that we can possibly make it. Um, because we'll all be better for it, clearly, because of little Jenna. Like, we're all so much more joyful just because of that
So
little.
cute. I felt like I watched that, but I saw that when I needed to see it almost. I'm like, oh my God, that's so sweet. It was so lovely.